All right. Is that all? Can you all see that? Is that working, Eric?
Looks perfect.
Okay, perfect. Okay, great. Thank you so much. So again, like Eric said, this is a super important topic. I think it's number 6 on your roadmap to success, right? Like very important that we can get this set up from the start for you guys. And a couple of things that we'll go ahead and be discussing today, kind of what an accounting system can do for you and why you need it, first of all, and then what it can do for you. And then we'll talk about a couple of financial reports that are going to be super important for your business, and setting you up with a chart of accounts, which will include some cost types and job types. And then we can wrap that up with looking at maybe getting you set up with some funding coming in the door. Just like Sonia said, with some of the federal grants. So first of all, why do you need an accounting system, right? Accounting is the process of making sense of your company's financial data, really. And it'll allow you, the systems will allow you to demonstrate competence so that you have sufficient knowledge and sufficient skills about your business and how to run it, as well as just allowing you to be organized in your everyday activities. An accounting system will allow you to show continuance, that your company is a going concern and will be able to meet the financial obligations that they have, as well as establish success by having some balanced books and financial strategies in mind for your company. And as I was putting things together for you guys, I came across this inspirational quote by Guy Kowalski, and he said that ideas are easy and implementation is hard. And it got me thinking that a lot of people think accounting is hard. And it is. It's a very difficult subject. But I'm hoping by the time we go through some of this presentation that you'll have a little, it'll make it a little easier and not so difficult to get started with. So what can an accounting system do for you? An accounting system will allow you to record and track your assets and liabilities. The assets are your resources, and those are things that you actually own. And the liabilities are going to be your financial obligations, so those will be the things that you owe to others. The accounting system can allow you to track your revenues and expenses. And the revenues are the inflows from your normal operations, and the expenses are going to be the outflows from your normal operations. An accounting system can also help you track the costs by the contract or jobs that you are applying for, and help you prepare specific reports related to a job or a contract as well, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then having those reports available to you to be able to track everything will just really increase and enhance your efficiency. And then a couple of other things that the accounting system can do for you. QuickBooks, as well as other accounting systems, will allow you to be paid for what you do. They have payroll functions that you can enter time in and cut your checks for you. It'll allow you to seize opportunities. So with organized financial data available to you, you have the ability to make decisions faster, whether it is you're wanting to raise some of that grant funding or borrow money, you'll have budgets readily available. And if you proposals or have tight deadlines, having the ability to create those reports is also going to just help you with your opportunities. As well as the system can help you understand your activity. It'll allow you to look at your past activity, current activity, kind of plan and make sound decisions for your future. A couple of the financial reports, there's 3 main reports actually. So the financial reports are really going to tell you how well your business is doing, and it'll allow you to manage your investors' money or your sponsors' money. And the first financial report, the balance sheet, is really your point in time. So it's a snapshot of your company's financial position, and it'll tell you how healthy your company is, and it'll allow you to see your assets, those things that you own, against the claims that you have, your liabilities, so that way you know what you're left with. And then income statements, they're your revenues and expenses over a period of time. And the report is, I'm going to show you your financial position for specific times. You can do a month, a quarter, a year, and it'll just provide you some insight on your company's operations as well as the management's efficiency. And the third statement is going to be your cash flow statement, which is going to show the amounts of cash that are entering and leaving your business. And it'll allow you to see, you know, if you have enough liquidity to pay your expenses. And it's broken down into three sections. First one being operations. So it'll show you the cash that you generated from, you know, your products or services that you offer. The second one is investing, which is going to show you the cash for your capital assets. And then the third one is your financing activities, which is going to show you transactions that are related to the debt that you have. So now that we know what an accounting system can do for us, let's take kind of a look at how we can get it set up to work for you. And that's going to start with what we call the chart of accounts. And every chart of account is going to be specific to your business, and it will be it's numbers and names, right? So that will allow you to track your transactions and identify everything, and it's going to include assets and liabilities and equity like we just discussed. And it should include elements of a cost accounting system. And this is going to be the elements that will allow you to track your revenues and expenses for specific cost objectives that you guys have. And those should also include some cost types and some job types. So I have an example here of a trial balance, so you can kind of see what it'll look like. And the numbering convention of it. So again, the numbers and names of your accounts to kind of track the transactions that you have incoming and outcoming from your business. And the convention is that assets are usually start with ones, liabilities twos, your equities threes, and then your revenues go to four. And then after that, we'll take a look at your expenses and organizing them so that way we can, you know, track your costs. And in this particular example, we reserved the fives for what we call the direct cost or the indirect cost, which we're going to look at in a few minutes. And it will allow you to assign specific job types to these. So if you guys have multiple funding opportunities or grants, say you have a DOD and an NSF or a, you know, DHS, however, whatever funding you guys are applying for, we can separate these accounts to be specific to you to track funding for each one of your sponsors. And all of the other overhead, I'm sorry?
Melissa, if you wanted us to see the PDF, we cannot see that. You may have to change your screen share.
Oh.
So
so you can't see the trial balance at all, huh?
No.
No.
Oh.
So you're probably, what you will need to do is stop share and then share, push that little share screen button again, and then select that other window.
Oh, sorry. Thank you, Anita. Let's see.
No problem. It's a little funky. Zoom is great, but then there's a few little shortcomings.
Yeah. Here we go. Can you see that?
You probably have to push share one more time.
Okay. Uh-oh.
It's trying to share something.
You're gonna lose me completely, Anita.
I'm sorry.
No.
So it usually has a green border. There we go.
Can you see that?
Yes.
How's that chart of accounts look to everybody?
All right, now we see numbers. Fantastic.
Oh, yeah. So I guess the naming the convention for, you know, any chart of accounts is going to be similar, but the account numbers themselves and job numbers that you guys specifically assign will be specific to your company. So here's kind of the 5s that I was talking about in this example where we reserved that for specific. We could say, 5100 is your DOD and 5200 is your NASA or however you want to do that. So that's kind of what that looks like. All right. Okay. Can you see the presentation again? Back in there?
Melissa, you'll have to do stop share and then start share again, the share screen and go through all that.
Yep. Okay, is that good?
Not yet. Once you get the green border, you have to push share one more time. There we go.
Good to go. See, Eric, this was anything but boring, right?
Perfect.
All right. So now that you've got to see what your chart of account looks like, I kind of want to talk a little bit more about these cost types for you guys because it'll be specific to your funding or your federal contracts. But we have direct costs and indirect costs. Direct costs are specifically identifiable with a final cost objective, and that is going to be a contract specifically a particular job or project or your product or services. And then indirect costs, they're not directly associated with your final cost objective, but they support that cost objective. So those include overhead costs, general and administrative and fringe benefits, and those types of things. So if we start to break this down, direct costs will include direct materials, direct labor, and other direct costs. And direct material are easily identifiable for your final cost objective. Whether it be, an example could be like if we were building furniture and we wanted to do a chair, and we had to do some maple, our direct material would be the wood into that chair, and it would be the unit of the unit price times however much of the material we need. And then the direct labor is the wages that are going to be paid to the individual to directly finish that activity for you. And our other direct costs could most often be considered indirect charges, but under certain circumstances you can identify it, then we can go ahead and put it into other direct costs. And in our case of building a chair, it would be training normally would be an indirect cost. But if you are trying to train an individual on a specific technique that you're going to use for that chair, the final cost objective, then we could go ahead and call that another direct cost. And it could be allowable. And then our indirect costs, the general and administrative costs, is day-to-day activities, and these are going to be impact your entire business. So these are costs like your rent and your utilities, supplies, advertising costs, and then overhead is kind of a generic. People, we can kind of throw other things in there, but I think the first thing that comes into my mind for an overhead cost would be like your management salary. So that again, they're not specifically related to a final cost objective, but they support the overall efforts of that contract or project. And so then what are job costs and why would we want to track them? So these job costs and cost types are going to be super important with your government contracts. Government contract sponsors are going to require you to distinguish your direct costs from your indirect costs. And those costs, the direct costs, are billable to your customer, your sponsor. And then we're going to have all of those indirect costs just that affect your entire business and all of the contracts or jobs that you have. And we're going to be able to allocate specific amounts across each of your contracts based on the regulations like Eric was saying, if you don't follow specific rules, you can get in a lot of trouble. But the FAR clauses are out there to kind of help guide us and say what we can or cannot put onto a specific contract. So whether you have an SBIR or an STTR now, or you're going to be submitting proposals for them, this piece of the puzzle will be super important for you. And then I have another example, Anita. So I'll see if I can show you this. This is going to be an allocation a worksheet. So the direct costs, like we talked about, those are what drives your costs. So in our little example of the chair, direct materials and direct labor are going to be our cost drivers. And we're going to need to establish an overhead base for that. And then all of our other expenses, the indirect stuff that is kind of there, whether we're doing a DOD or an NSF project, we're going to have rent, we're going to have electricity, but we're going to be able to spread that out to each of your sponsors or jobs based on these allocations. And so I kind of wanted to show you what that would look like. Can you see that yet, Anita?
No, you have to stop share.
Okay.
It's kind of annoying. It won't let you like scoot over. You have to stop it and then restart.
Okay.
With the share screen.
Well, she could just share her entire screen unless she has something that she doesn't want us to see, right? And then she could avoid all of that switching between apps.
Right, or you have to scoot it over into the green, frame. It's not elegant either way. I'm sure the Zoom engineers are working on this frantically as we speak.
Oh, funny. Oh man. Well, I apologize that I'm not as savvy with these presentations yet.
No worries. I think the important thing is that we get a good look at it because, a lot of times we see just high level accounting, and I really appreciate you showing us actual examples.
I think it's easier. Well, it's easier for me if I'm a very visual person. So if I can kind of see it and have something to tie it to, it makes more sense. All right, so I have my file up. Let's see.
So you need to make sure it has the green frame around it.
Okay.
So now we got the.
Can you see that there?
Yes, we see.
All right. This is a snapshot from the original trial balance we saw, but your actual expenses. So the fives that we thought we would allocate out to specific jobs, and then all of our other expenses that we assigned a number 6 for. So this is why the numbering convention becomes super important. So when you are applying for your funding, or you have SBIR or TTR funding, you're going to have to submit specific reports on how that money's being spent. And so it's going to be driven by your costs. And in order for us to allocate all these indirect costs up under 6, we have to come up with an overhead cost rate to do that. And the way that's going to be done is, like we talked about, the direct labor and the direct materials. Whatever your cost driver is, you're going to take your overhead costs and divide it by your overhead base, we'll call it, the direct costs, and then you're going to get a percentage. And in this case, it's 52.98. And then you're going to take, so say that this 5,100 here is your DOD project, and this 5,200 here is your NSF project. So based on your overhead rate of 52.98%, you're going to be able to take and spread out this $15,000 in indirect cost to each of those sponsors. And based on, so the other thing that's going to be super important, I think, and once you have your account numbers set up and you have job numbers set up in your accounting system, you're going to be able to pull reports that can provide you all this information. But not all of your overhead costs are going to be allowable on your federal with your sponsors based on those FAR clauses. They're going to exclude certain things. So you could never put entertainment or meals or alcohol on a federal award. So we have to be super careful with those to see what is allowable or unallowable in terms of your cost. And then once we take out your unallawables, then we can allocate the remaining expenses across each of your projects or jobs. That went smoother. Can you see that?
Yes. It's easy to learn. It takes a couple of times, and you'll be a pro.
Be a pro when this is done.
That's right.
Like what was that we said? Implementation is hard. So again, that's just kind of a visual to see why these cost types and job types are super important, because once you assign those job numbers and then you start applying for your grant funding, we can start generating reports that are going to assist you in getting that money in the door, as well as reporting to your sponsors or to your investors after the fact, because they're going to want to know. The investors are going to want to know your performance and what your plans are. So having a really good accounting system set up that's organized and from the start, right, it'll help you also generate your budgets for your proposals or your pitches. And then the reports that you can generate from this system will just be what you can go ahead and submit for your SBIRs, your STTRs, or any other type of funding that you would like to go for. So I think in my head too, as your company grows and you guys get more complex, if we can set up your software system correctly from the beginning, it'll be much easier to kind of maintain as you go along and grow. And I just wanted to let you know that if you guys need some assistance with setting it up, or if we can, R&A's been here since 1942, providing comprehensive accounting and auditing, taxation, and advisory services. And we serve a lot of nonprofits, health and welfare organizations, technology. We have a lot of technology clients and constructions. And we have experience with those federal regulations, the FAR clauses. So if any point along your journey as you're starting to set up your accounting system, you have questions or you want us to review the chart of accounts for you and your job codes to make sure that they're going to work for your goals and the direction that you see your company going. If you need help with the compliance part of it, or that indirect overhead rate, establishing that, so that way you can go ahead and allocate all of your costs out and be in compliance. We are here and we can help you. And then, R&A has free consultation too, if you would like to call me, or I can put you in touch with one of the shareholders if you have any questions, or even after this presentation, if you're thinking about things that you need some clarification on, just go ahead and give us a call. I'll be happy to help. But it's super exciting what you guys are doing. I wish you the best of luck and success in your future endeavors. And, it'd be great to hear from you and see how you're doing. But if you have any questions, let me know.